Warning, this content may be upsetting or disturbing to some audiences. Serious, graveyard shift workers of Reddit, what is the weirdest or creepiest thing you experienced while on the job? So I used to do graveyard security at an ER. I had just started the job when this happened. One night, I was on break and crossing the empty hospital parking lot to walk over to the 7-Eleven. Out of nowhere, this hatchback starts revving his engine from across the lot. Then it screeches forward, heading right for me. I'm like trying to run serpentine and get over a curb into the street. I'm legit scared I am going to be ran over by some homicidal wacko. I'm about 30 yards from the curb edge when the car pulls up alongside me. So I was working at an oil refinery in India, doing the always fun 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. We would do actual work until around 9 every night, then screw around and just make sure everything stays stable. Well, around 2 a.m. the compressor tripped. What the FCK? Great, the whole plant is down. We check and see there was no reason it happened, no high temperature, PDI, vibration, etc. Okay, these things happen every so often. Whatever, let's get going again. Next night, same thing happens. Luckily we were doing commissioning stuff, so losing production wasn't a freakishly huge deal, only a moderately huge deal. If it was Starbucks it would be the tall pumpkin latte of disasters, you know, delicious, but at least it wasn't Vien. So me and Piyush are talking, and we decide to take one of the security cameras and turn it onto the compressor. The compressor trips yet again. We go to the security room and get the guard to let us watch the video. It's boring, it's an oil refinery in India in the middle of the night, maybe 3 feet tall and walking with a hunch. It goes up to the compressor and starts turning some dials and pressing some buttons. The compressor trips and it scats out of the area. Oh, but this was no dark spirit from no sleep, it was a goddamn monkey. The solution: they hired an India boy to sit there at night with a cricket paddle thing. Pigeon loose in a library, crushed by a dictionary it dislodged. Had to throw the book away. I am a nurse in a nursing home and I was working 10p6a, and this one particularly feisty old lady would always tell me that she hated me and was going to haunt me. Well, for an entire week after she died her call light kept going off when the room was unoccupied. Freaked me the FCK out. Worked at a bulk item store overnight, in the cafe. I was prepping food for an early morning pickup, and went to my car on my lunch break. Walked out to find a gaze of raccoons surrounding my car completely. I pounded on the entrance door, the door monitor had walked away to get a soda, and her inevitable waddle back over would have taken too long. I sacrificed my sandwich that night for my freedom. I worked a graveyard shift at a Chevron when I was taking a year off of college. That's not what I'm here to say though. During that night, maybe 4 a.m., I hear that someone just walked through the door. Expecting a trucker or a teenager here for energy drinks, I look towards the door and there's an old couple beelining it to the energy drink section. I wave and wait for them to come to the counter. The woman comes back and asks if I have any Monster coffees in the back. I tell her that we have some in the energy drink section. They both crack one open and drink it all without stopping. The woman asks again if we have any more in the back. I go in the back and see we have 3 small pallets of it with 15 to 20 in each one. I go and tell the couple and the old guy says he will come back and help me carry them. So we lug around 50 coffees to the counter, and by the time we finish, the woman has finished another. I'm in shook and wondering if I'm hallucinating or this is a prank, because I've been working since 11 a.m. because someone called in sick. I then ring up all the coffees and it's like $185 of Monster coffees. The woman says this stuff just goes so fast. We do this every 2 to 3 weeks, so they got all of them paid for and start carrying them to the car. Then they start looking through the store. They both each drink another coffee while searching. I'm standing there watching 2 60-year-olds who aren't extremely fat or skinny, chug these coffees like it was the first liquid they had found in the past month. They finally left and I sat there wondering what I was doing with my life. I laughed to the point I reached tears. Why am I working at a gas station at 22 years old? I should be back in college. Next week I gave my 2 weeks notice and am now back in college. I'm the overnight desk at a small hotel, and I've been doing it nearly 6 years. If I were a sim, this is level 2 of the slacker track. Mostly a very, very boring job, but once in a while. So my hotel is on the waterfront, and the dumpster is on the far end of the building, near a crabbing wharf. I'm going out there one night to take out the lobby trash. It's dark as a bowel and I do things out there mostly by touch. So I go to lift the dumpster lid and a dinosaur screams in my face. Great blue herons are terrifying. Terrifying birds in the dark, when they're standing above you flapping their wings because you just upended the surface they're standing on and snapping their knife face at you while making deep screaming noises. This heron and I had other encounters. Once, he was inside the recycling dumpster when I opened it. Frequently, he dropped rotting fish, large fish, off the roof to explode all over our front patio. Once it was a good-sized salmon, or he'd just stand outside and make horrible dinosaur noises. But he finally vanished last winter and I thought I had outlasted him. Maybe I did. Fuck you, birds. Herons aren't even supposed to be nocturnal. Aside from demon birds staying up all night just to screw with me, my hotel has a few ghost things and I have had regular problems with sleepwalkers. Men of Reddit who sleepwalk, why do you sleep nude? Made a pause to drink some coffee at 3 a.m. Went outside and walked a bit on the sidewalk while sipping on my hot as FCK black coffee. The building that I work at has a panoramic elevator which is visible from said sidewalk. Silence for some seconds, and then this f-king noise again. Almost shitting myself after hours of pure silence. I work alone in my office. I looked around but saw nothing. Knock knock again. Holy SHD, what the actual FCK is this? Is today the day that I'm going to be spooked by a knocking ghost? Knock knock knock, holy shit. So I took the brilliant decision to look to the elevator and there was a fucking person inside knocking on the elevator's glass and WHO fucking ran away when I saw him. Reported it to the site security, ran to the bathroom and had the most earth-shaking fear-induced poop of my life. Graveyard at the gas station Sunday to Thursday night, typical drunks, vacationers fueling up, morning zombies for their coffees. I think the creepiest was when a guy started to hit on me and ask for my number. He would not take no for an answer and always was there when I came in for my shift. Mind you, I am a woman alone. I was not allowed to have anything to defend myself, because it was against company policy. Though I had easy access to phone the police. Well, this one particular night he wanted to touch me. I wasn't standing it. My throat started getting hot and before I was about to verbally assault this creep, a regular walked in the door with her hand on the gun. He left hurriedly and I have never seen him since. I worked nights in a care home for the elderly patients with dementia etc. Found quite a few dead bodies. First one was on my 4th ever shift working there, 2nd ever shift actually working the floor after training. And I had to help wash and dress the body. I was 18. There were many more people who died whilst I worked as a carer. There is really no preparing you for that. Midnight in the inner city near a shanty town. One crazed homeless woman assaulted me and another woman came up and beat the SHD out of woman A. Woman B tells woman A that I am her biological brother and to never touch me. I get paid a lot to do a job that has no work to do. I pretty much get paid to survive the night. So, I used to work as a graveyard custodian in a building by myself. Now, when I started I was told that the building was pretty weird and that I should stay on my toes. I called bullshit, but after working there for a year I was pretty much convinced something weird was happening. 1. I was riding the elevator to a different floor but instead of going to that floor it went straight into the basement. The doors open and they are open for maybe 10 seconds or so and I can't see anything in this room. I hit the doors to close and the figure just kept getting closer. I ended up standing outside of the building for a half hour or so while the police searched the basement. I swear this is true, just happened a few months ago. I was sitting out in my truck in the parking lot eating lunch around 1 a.m. Out of the corner of my eye I spotted some kind of creature walking along the highway service road alongside our building, but this thing was 2 to 3 feet tall walking upright. Well, not really walking, so much as sort of levitating along slowly. It was pretty dark out, but I could just faintly see this thing making its way on down the road. Really kind of freaking me out because I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing. One of my duties at the mortuary I worked for was nighttime body removals. One night, my partner and I showed up around 2 a.m. to grab the paperwork for our removal. This included the casket room. Everyone hated the casket room. It was freezing cold year-round, the lights were always uncomfortably dim no matter what maintenance did to try to fix them, and there was this mannequin in the corner in full military dress that just felt wrong. So my partner and I don't find anyone, so we lock everything up and head out. We get back an hour later, get our new guest logged in, and decide to get a cup of coffee before leaving. He and I walk toward the kitchen, only to find the casket room door open about 3 feet. It shouldn't be that close to the door. My partner and I froze for a second, then I grabbed his wrist and we backed up into the kitchen and straight out the back door. It honestly felt like if we had gotten too close to the casket room door something bad would have happened. Neither of us would ever go near that room again. Even during the day. I could spend time alone in the prep room or crematory no problem, so I'm not easily spooked, but there was something wrong with that room. Guy came into store drunk as a skunk at 3 a.m. pukes all over the aisle he was in. A night manager walks up and yells at him. Drunk guy apologizes, says he will mop it up and goes back and eats his own vomit to clear it up. I work as a customer support representative for an online marketplace. I mostly work graveyard shifts, but I guess what happened during the night couple of days ago counts as weird to say the least. On this marketplace, users can set up shops and offer services to other users. These services that they offer tend to be very bizarre from time to time, and some of them are scammers who offer bullcrap at high prices. This being said, we had a poor little man contact us in the middle of the night complaining about how he was robbed out of $400. It seemed like it could be an interesting ticket, so I took it and started investigating the order that was associated with it. Turns out that our buyer purchased a satanic ritual to completely change his physical appearance. This includes his height, weight, pretty much his whole face, and last but not least, his DCK size. The seller told him that he will require some personal info, such as his home address, pictures, no contact info, and the buyer delivered without hesitation. The seller delivered the order and the poor buyer accepted it, which means that the order was now marked as complete and the seller got his funds and deleted his account. Who wouldn't? In the end I was able to refund the buyer and got his funds back, but man was it a blast reading their conversation. The seller was playing him like a fiddle and the buyer just kept on eating the SHD the seller served him. I was training a new worker, and we got to joking about how you could make a decent horror movie set in our store during the overnight shift. We were getting really into it, coming up with all of these different concepts, and then the power went out. I worked prisoner watch shifts, where basically you make sure the drunks don't throw up on themselves. Anyways, this one girl came in at about 2:30 a.m. and blew a .21 BAC, so she was out of it for most of the booking. When she was put in the cell she passed out. She then went into this cycle of staring at me, then crying, then laughing. I can't say I've ever been more creeped out than that night. Not quite a traditional graveyard shift, but I used to work in a function center, so would usually finish at around 3 or 4 in the morning. The function would finish at 12, and we'd reset for the next one. I was in the smallest hall at the time, so there were just 2 of us resetting. The other entrance is through the adjacent ballroom, which was empty and locked up. We're both girls and there's no security past midnight, yeah, so we just locked up the glass door and went about our work. Anyway, it gets to about 2 a.m. and suddenly there's this huge banging on the glass. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.